What if I told you? Jealousy isn't really about love, or loyalty, or even fear. What if jealousy is actually control in disguise? So well camouflaged, we mistake it for passion, for care, for connection. It's easy to miss, because control doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it arrives softly, like a hand on your shoulder, like a gentle question that seems harmless at first. Where were you? Why didn't you call me back? I'm just worried about you. We hear these words, and often we believe they're about love, about safety, about being cherished. But if you listen carefully, beneath them is a much deeper hunger. The hunger to manage, the hunger to hold, the hunger to not lose. Jealousy is the mask. Control is the face underneath. And the fear hidden inside. If I stop controlling, I might lose them. And if I lose them, I might lose myself. Let's take a breath together. Because the truth is, jealousy doesn't grow in healthy soil. It grows where insecurity lives. It grows where love was once uncertain, where affection was conditional, where belonging was never safe. That's why jealousy feels so strong. It isn't about today. It isn't about this partner, or this friend, or this situation. It's about back then. Back when you were replaced. Back when someone chose another over you. Back when your heart learned love could vanish overnight. Your nervous system still remembers, even if your mind tries to forget. That's why it feels like survival. Why your chest tightens. Why your breath quickens. Why the thought of being abandoned feels like drowning. So you grip tighter. You ask more questions. You monitor every little signal. Not because you don't trust them, but because you don't trust you'll survive without them. This is the hidden truth about control. It isn't about dominance. It's about desperation. It's about the deep fear of powerlessness. But here's the cruel paradox. The more we control, the more love suffocates. Love that is watched too closely cannot breathe. Affection that is tested and questioned turns mechanical. People who feel caged begin to pull away. And suddenly, the very thing we tried to prevent, loss, distance, separation, becomes inevitable. Control doesn't create safety. It creates instability. Control doesn't build love. It breaks it down. And that is the illusion. The illusion that by gripping harder, we can keep love safe. But love doesn't want to be gripped. Love wants to be trusted. Love wants to be free. Philosophers have whispered this truth for centuries. The Stoics reminded us that the only thing we truly own is our will, our choices, our actions. Everything else, people, events, emotions, are not ours to control. Yet jealousy convinces us otherwise. It whispers, if I try hard enough, I can bend reality to fit my fear. But reality doesn't bend. And fear never creates love. What does? Awareness. Healing. Letting go. Because here's the shift, my friend, jealousy isn't the enemy. Control isn't a curse. They're signals. Signals that a wound needs tending. That a part of you is still afraid. That something in your story has not yet been healed. And when you start listening, not with shame, but with compassion, everything changes. So in this journey together, we're going to look at jealousy through a different lens. We'll see how psychology explains it, how philosophy challenges it, and most importantly, how you can transform it. Not by gripping tighter, but by letting go. Because freedom isn't the opposite of love. Freedom is the soil where love can finally grow. So stay with me. Because by the end of this journey, you may just discover that the cage you've been building was never theirs. It was yours. And the key has been in your hand all along. Jealousy doesn't come out of nowhere. It isn't random. It isn't a flaw in your personality. It is learned. It is shaped. It is passed down. Most of us don't grow up inside pure love. We grow up inside conditional love. Love that says, I'll hold you when you're good, but I'll turn away when you're bad. Love that whispers, "You're worthy when you please me, but unworthy when you fail me." Love that demands performance. Love that teaches us to measure, to compare, to constantly ask, "Am I enough today?" This is the first soil where jealousy takes root. Because if love can be withdrawn, then it can be stolen. If love must be earned, then someone else might outshine me. If love is never secure, then I must always be on guard. Think of a child, watching a parent's attention shift. Perhaps to a sibling. Perhaps to work. Perhaps to silence. The child doesn't say, "My caregiver is tired." No. The child's heart translates it as, "I've been replaced. I've been forgotten. I am not enough." And that imprint doesn't fade. It lingers. It becomes the lens we carry into every bond. So when a partner glances at their phone too long, or doesn't reply to a message, or laughs a little too brightly with someone else, that old wound shouts awake. And jealousy arrives not as a choice, but as a reflex. Attachment theory helps us here. Psychologists like John Bowlby and Mary Ainsworth showed us that early relationships form our attachment styles. Some of us learned security. We felt safe. We felt chosen. We trust easily. But others of us learned anxiety. We felt uncertain. We felt replaceable. We fear abandonment. And others learned avoidance. We pulled back. We learned not to need too much, because closeness felt dangerous. Jealousy thrives most in anxious soil, in the nervous system that whispers, "If I don't hold tight, they will vanish." And so we grip, we check, we question, we control, not because we are unlovable, but because we were once unprotected. Let's pause here. Do you feel how deep this goes? Jealousy is not about your partner smiling at someone. It's not about their Instagram likes. It's not even about fidelity. It's about the echo of being unseen. It's about the memory of being left. It's about the terror of being small, in a world that forgets you exist. This is why reasoning alone doesn't work. You can tell yourself 1,000 times, "They love me. They chose me." And still your stomach twists. Still your breath shortens. Still you feel the fire of comparison burning inside. Because jealousy lives deeper than logic. It lives in the body. It lives in the nervous system. It lives in the child who once cried and wondered if anyone would come. So what do? We begin by naming it. Not as weakness. Not as failure. But as history. My jealousy is my history speaking. My control is my fear trying to keep me safe. Do you feel the shift? Already, compassion begins to grow. Because jealousy is not a monster. It is a wound. And wounds are not shamed into healing. They are soothed. They are understood. They are cared for. So when you feel that heat rise in your chest, when your thoughts spiral into suspicion, when you find yourself scrolling, checking, comparing, pause. Say, "This is not about them. This is about me. This is about something long ago." And in that pause, you open the door to healing. Jealousy is not just an idea. It is an experience that floods the body. Think of the last time you felt it. The sudden rush of heat. The way your chest tightened. The racing of your thoughts. The knot in your stomach. That is not imagination. That is your nervous system sounding the alarm. Psychologists call jealousy a threat response. Your body believes something valuable is about to be taken. Your brain doesn't see a conversation or a social media post. It sees danger. It sees loss. It sees abandonment. So your system prepares to fight, or cling, or shut down. Adrenaline surges. Cortisol spikes. Your focus narrows to the person you fear losing. Every gesture, every silence, every delay becomes a signal to decode. This is why jealousy feels overwhelming. It isn't just in your head. It's in your bloodstream. It's in your heartbeat. It's in your survival reflex. And here's the key: survival reflexes don't negotiate. They don't pause to weigh evidence. They don't ask, Is my partner actually unfaithful? They only ask, am I safe? Or am I about to be abandoned? That's why logic often fails. You can list every reason why you're secure, but your body still vibrates with fear. Trauma research shows us why. When the nervous system has been imprinted with abandonment, betrayal, or neglect, it remembers. Even decades later, the brain's alarm center, the amygdala, learns patterns. It says, last time you felt this way, you were left behind. So this time, prepare for it again. That is why even small triggers feel like massive threats. It's not the present that overwhelms you. It's the past echoing through your present moment. Bessel van der Kolk, a leading trauma researcher, wrote, "The body keeps the score," meaning our bodies record the pain our minds cannot process. Jealousy is one of those scores. It's your body trying to prevent the same wound from happening again. So you check their phone. You ask again where they were. You replay conversations. You compare yourself to others. Not because you want to control, but because your nervous system is begging for reassurance. Begging to know, will I survive if this love is lost? Let's pause for a breath here. Because this is tender. This is not weakness. This is not madness. This is your body trying to keep you safe. But here's the paradox. The very strategies meant to protect you are the ones that slowly corrode love. Checking phones. Questioning motives. Demanding proof. These may calm the body for a moment, but over time, they plant seeds of distrust. They turn affection into a test. They turn intimacy into interrogation. And love cannot thrive inside interrogation. What it needs is trust. What it needs is freedom. What it needs is presence. Modern psychology reminds us of this too. John Gottman, one of the great researchers of marriage, studied thousands of couples. He discovered that suspicion and control are among the strongest predictors of relationship failure. Why? Because they erode the foundation of friendship. They turn partners into prosecutors and defendants. And once love becomes a courtroom, it rarely recovers. So where does this leave us? With a truth both difficult and liberating, jealousy is not about the other person. It is about the wound within us. A wound that says, if I am not chosen, I will not survive. But you will survive. You already have. You are here, listening, breathing, learning to see jealousy not as a curse, but as a signal. And once you see it as a signal, you can respond not with control, but with compassion. Because the nervous system can be soothed. It can be rewired. It can learn safety again. And that, my friend, is where healing begins. Psychology explains how jealousy works. But philosophy asks a deeper question: why do we cling to control at all? The truth is, control is the oldest illusion in the human heart. We crave certainty. We crave permanence. We want life to stay the same so we can feel safe. But philosophers, for centuries, have whispered the same answer: nothing is ours to hold. The Stoics in ancient Greece spoke of this often. Epictetus said, some things are up to us, and some things are not. What is up to us? Our thoughts. Our choices. Our actions. What is not? Other people. Their feelings. Their decisions. The future itself. And yet, jealousy convinces us otherwise. It whispers, if you hold tighter, if you demand more proof, if you close the cage, you can make love stay. But love does not stay in cages. It dies there. The Stoics taught that control is an illusion. That freedom, true peace, comes from mastering only ourselves. But jealousy flips that. It pushes us to master others. To police their choices. To shape their freedom into our comfort. And the cost? Love itself. Now look east. The Buddhists speak a similar truth. They say, attachment is the root of suffering. Not because love is wrong, but because clinging is. When we attach with fear, we confuse love with possession. We mistake intimacy for ownership. And suffering blooms. The Buddha taught that to love is not to chain another being, It is to recognize their freedom and love them within it. Jealousy resists this. It says, if I loosen my grip, they might leave. But wisdom replies, if they must leave, no grip will keep them. And if they wish to stay, no grip is needed. Let's bring in another voice. The poet Rumi once wrote, try to accept the changing seasons of your soul. Even if they make you afraid. Even if they turn you inside out. Rumi reminds us that love, like the seasons, is alive. It cannot be frozen in place. It must move, shift, breathe. Control tries to freeze it. And in freezing it, kills it. So what is the paradox? The paradox is this: the more we try to control, the less control we truly have. Because love thrives in freedom. And freedom cannot be forced. You may lock every door. You may check every message. You may demand every reassurance. But none of it guarantees love. All it guarantees is exhaustion. True security is never found outside you. It is built within you. Philosophy asks us to see this clearly, to understand that our grasp on the world is never firm. And that's not tragedy. That's life. The Stoics invite us to ask, each time jealousy rises, is this up to me? If the answer is no, then control will only wound you. And the Buddhists invite us to breathe, to notice the clinging mind, and to soften its grip. Not by rejecting love, but by opening to love without chains. Because here is the strange gift of jealousy: it shows us where we are clinging. It shows us where illusion lives. And it invites us to practice release. So the next time jealousy whispers, pause. Ask, what is mine to carry? And what was never mine at all? You may discover that the only thing you ever needed to hold was yourself. Ideas move us. But stories, they reach deeper. They remind us, you are not alone in this. So let's step into a few lives. Story 1. Maya is in love. She adores her partner, Daniel. But every time his phone lights up, her stomach twists. She doesn't want to ask. She doesn't want to seem crazy. But the urge to peek at the screen pulls her like gravity. One night, when Daniel is in the shower, she checks his messages. She finds nothing. No betrayal. No secret. And yet, when she closes the phone, her body doesn't feel calm. It feels worse. Because now she is ashamed. Jealousy told her, if you check, you'll feel safe. But what it gave her was guilt, distance, and silence. The cage was invisible, but Daniel could feel it. Love had turned into surveillance. Story 2. Samir has a best friend, Leo. They've been close for years. But recently Leo has grown closer to another friend. Whenever Amir sees photos of them together, a sharp sting runs through his chest. It feels like betrayal, even though Leo has done nothing wrong. Amir begins to compete subtly. He tries to one-up their stories. He criticizes Leo's new friend behind their back. He pulls harder on the bond, trying to prove he is the chosen one. But the more he pushes, the more Leo feels drained. Friendship that once felt light now feels heavy. And jealousy wins again, not by protecting connection, but by straining it. Story 3. The family chain. Lila grew up in a family where attention was scarce. Her parents praised one child loudly while the others quietly disappeared. Now as an adult, Lila feels that same ache with her siblings. When her mother brags about her brother's career, she feels invisible all over again. At family gatherings, she interrupts, corrects, fights for space. She becomes sharper, louder, harder. And everyone labels her too much. But really, she is still the little girl fighting to be seen. Her jealousy is not against her brother. It is against the memory of being forgotten. These stories show us something simple, but profound. Jealousy does not live only in romance. It shows up in friendship. It shows up in family. It shows up anywhere our heart feels replaceable. Because jealousy's true question is always the same: am I enough to stay chosen? And when the answer feels uncertain, we reach for control. But control never gives the answer we long for. It only builds walls between us and the people we want most. Now let's imagine another scene. Story 4. The shift. Sophia has always been jealous. In past relationships, she pushed people away with her constant fear. But in therapy, she began to see it differently. She learned to pause, to name her fear out loud. So one evening, when her partner was late from work, and her chest began to burn with suspicion, she did not lash out. She did not accuse. She breathed. She whispered to herself, "This is my fear. This is my history, not his betrayal." When her partner finally arrived, instead of saying, "Why didn't you call?" she said, "My fear showed up tonight. Can I share it with you?" And in that moment, the cage turned into a bridge. Because vulnerability creates connection, not interrogation. These are not dramatic tales. They are everyday lives. Which makes them powerful. Because we begin to see, jealousy is not their problem. It is ours. It is human. And it is transformable. Every time jealousy rises, we stand at a crossroad. One path is control. Checking, questioning, competing, clinging. It gives a momentary relief, but long-term loss. The other path is courage. Naming the fear, owning the wound, opening the heart. It feels harder at first, but it is the only path that leads back to true connection. So maybe the question is not, how do I stop being jealous? But rather, how do I listen to what jealousy is really saying? Because when you listen deeply, jealousy is not asking you to control them. It is asking you to heal you. We've seen the roots. We've seen the pain. We've seen how jealousy wears the mask of control. But now, we turn toward healing. Not quick fixes. Not tricks. But slow, steady practices that teach the nervous system a new way. Let's walk through them together. Step 1. Notice the urge to control. The first step is awareness. When jealousy rises, most of us react automatically. We accuse. We check. We compare. But healing begins with noticing. The next time you feel the itch to scroll through their messages, to ask the same question twice, to scan the room for competition, pause. Say to yourself, "I feel unsafe. And I am reaching for control." This one sentence interrupts the old loop. It brings light where before there was only reaction. You are not your jealousy. You are the one who can notice it. And noticing is power. Step 2. Identify the fear underneath. Every jealous thought is a mask for a deeper fear. Fear of abandonment. Fear of being invisible. Fear of not being enough. So ask gently, what am I really afraid of right now? Is it that they'll leave? That you'll be replaced? That you'll discover you weren't chosen after all? Naming the fear takes it out of the shadows. It gives it shape. And what has shape can be healed. Step 3. Rebuild internal safety. If your sense of security depends entirely on someone else's choices, you will always feel unstable. Healing means becoming your own anchor. It means reminding your nervous system, "I am safe. I am whole. Even when I feel unsure." How do we do this? Affirmations, not fluffy promises, but grounding truths. I am enough as I am. My worth is not up for debate. I belong to myself. Therapy or coaching, spaces where old wounds can finally be spoken. Breathwork and meditation, teaching the body calm, slowing the survival reflex. Journaling, letting fears spill onto paper, instead of into our relationships. Reparenting practices, speaking to the child within you, the one who still aches to be seen. Each time you rebuild safety inside yourself, you loosen the grip of jealousy. Because your survival no longer rests on controlling someone else. Step 4. Practice trust through communication, not interrogation. Jealousy often drives us to demand answers. Where were you? Who were you with? Why didn't you text back? But interrogation kills intimacy. It turns partners into suspects. Instead, try vulnerability. It sounds like this: "When I didn't hear from you, my fear of being forgotten showed up. Can we talk about it? Do you feel the difference? One closes the heart, the other opens it. Healthy love isn't about perfect trust. It's about honest repair. It's about choosing communication over control. Step 5. Release ownership. This may be the hardest step of all, but also the most liberating. You do not own people. Not lovers. Not friends. Not even family. You get to experience them. You get to walk beside them. But they remain free. And their freedom is not your threat. It is your proof of love. Because love without freedom is not love. It is possession. So when jealousy tells you to tighten the grip, soften it instead. When fear tells you to monitor, breathe instead. When control whispers, keep them close or lose them, answer with, if they must go, let them go free. And if they choose to stay, I will know it is love. Step 6. Strengthen the self beyond relationship. One reason jealousy bites so hard is because we make another person our entire world. When they become the center of our worth, their every action feels like life or death. But when you have your own ground, your passions, your friendships, your sense of purpose, jealousy softens. Because you no longer stand on one fragile foundation. You stand on many. So ask yourself, what lights me up besides them? What makes me whole, even when I'm alone? Build those things. Feed those roots. Then love becomes a gift, not a lifeline. Step 7. Turn jealousy into a teacher. Every time jealousy rises, you are being shown where healing is needed. Instead of saying, this means I'm broken, say, this means a part of me is asking for care. Instead of saying, this will ruin my love, say, this is a doorway to deeper love if I walk through with honesty. When jealousy shifts from enemy to teacher, its power to harm dissolves. And remember this. Healing jealousy is not about perfection. It's about progress. It's about catching yourself sooner, speaking your fear softer, and building trust deeper each time. Step by step. Breath by breath. Moment by moment. Because love was never meant to be a cage. It was meant to be a garden. And gardens grow best when freedom and trust become the soil. We've walked a long road together. From the roots of jealousy, to the reflex of control, to the ancient wisdom of letting go. So let's pause and gather it all in. Jealousy told us, if I hold tighter, I can keep love safe. But we discovered the truth. Control does not protect love. It suffocates it. Jealousy told us, if I lose them, I will lose myself. But we uncovered the secret. You never lost yourself. You only forgot where to look. Because your safety, your wholeness, your worth, were never outside of you. They were always here. In your breath. In your heart. In the way you can choose again in this very moment. Philosophy reminded us that control is an illusion. That the only thing truly ours is our will, our choices, our response to life. Psychology reminded us that jealousy is a wound, a reflex of the nervous system, not a sign of weakness. And love reminded us that freedom, not possession, is the soil where intimacy grows. So when jealousy whispers next time, and it will, remember what you've learned here. Pause. Breathe. Ask, what am I really afraid of? And then ask, what would love, not fear, do right now? Love would not cage. Love would not interrogate. Love would not squeeze until the breath is gone. Love would soften. Love would listen. Love would trust. Because what is truly yours does not need to be gripped. And what was never yours will never stay, no matter how tightly you close your hand. Here's the paradox. The moment you let go, you begin to see who chooses to stay. Not because you demanded it. Not because you forced it. But because they wanted to. And that is the purest love of all. So may you walk lighter now. May you meet jealousy not with shame, but with curiosity. Not with cages, but with compassion. And when the urge to control rises, may you remember, the key was always in your hand. The cage was never theirs. It was yours. And freedom is always one choice away. Thank you for being here with me. Take care of your heart. And may love always guide your path. If this little journey spoke to you, I'd be so happy if you chose to subscribe, so we can keep exploring love and life together.